Hi, good evening. Welcome to the third day of our SBL Practice to Pass session. This is Sir Hassan Dosani. How are you guys doing today? If you guys can hear me clearly and see the screen clearly, please can you type yes? Excellent, excellent. So, as usual, we will start the day with exam technique, and then today we will go through three topics: integrated reporting, culture, and project management. And then we will be doing few questions in which we will be covering the topics along with the professional skills and some formats. So today's exam technique will talk about how to present your answer. It's more about the drafting aspects. Okay. Okay. So I have tried and summarized certain do's and don'ts regarding the drafting. This is based on examiners' comments and a lot of feedback from students. Number one, it is linking your answer to the exhibit is a must. No marks for general answer or definitions. Okay, we all know this by now, and in fact on our first day I explained to you the technique of how to link your answer with the case, right? The second thing is that our style of writing will be paragraph style. No bullet style is supposed to be used. Okay, by and large, we will adopt a paragraph style of drafting. The paragraph should not be lengthy. Examiner hates lengthy paragraphs. Okay, so you guys remember yesterday we talked about the size of each para. So maximum line is 5 lines. Okay, and then one paragraph should contain 1 point only. Obviously, if my paragraph size is 5 lines, but naturally I would be able to cover 1 point. But students, what they do is they try to squeeze multiple points under one paragraph, and hence their paragraph size crosses 10-15 lines. Okay, so accordingly we have to give many small paragraphs. So one paragraph means 1.5 lines each, so we will end up giving many small paragraphs, and leave one line between each paragraph. This is very important. um, this makes your answer visually pleasant if you leave one line between each paragraph, especially if your writing is not good. um, it is visually pleasing, it is visually easy for the examiner to check your paper. So if you leave one line in between, it will have a good psychological impact on the checker. And lastly, as I said, do not use bullet style of writing. Just give small paragraphs. Do not insert a bullet sign. Okay, this was about the paragraph style of drafting. And then the third point is we need to focus a lot on the format required in the question. A report format, is it a presentation slide, is it a briefing note? So I'm sure by now you realize the importance of format. So make sure whatever format is mentioned in the question, you have to religiously follow it in a very proper manner. Number 4 point is very interesting. Look for stress words. Now, what is the meaning of stress words? Stress words are kind of, very is a stress word. Extremely, significantly, notably. All these are stress words. What is the importance of stress word? So if the examiner has given some information, if he's saying the uh, company is facing extreme competition, that means he is putting a stress on the word competition. That means it is an important piece of information. It means that it is something which you have to cover in your answer. So all sentences, all information which has a stress word, especially the examiner's favorite word is significantly. Many times he used the word significantly. Significant unemployment, significant recession, all these points. So you have to identify sentences which contains these stress words, so that, and then you make sure that you cover the stress words in your answer. Okay. The fifth point is use of models is not mandatory. So do not try to forcefully use a model. Okay. Try to decide and think if the answer can be managed straightforward, then go for straightforward style rather than using a model. However, having said that, you must be familiar with some basic models. I read in today's WhatsApp group that somebody mentioned that there are around 40 models. No need for those 40 models. This paper is not about models. The board of directors are not interested in models. You must just know the basic models, and I have given here a list of basic models. It is pestle, Porter 5 forces, SFA, ENSOF growth matrix, Harmon process strategy, Mendeley stakeholders matrix, cultural web, and context of change model. If you know these 8 models, plus minus one or two here and there, you are safe. All right. Do not, you guys have limited time. Do not spend out of proportionate time on models. Rather, spend more times on topics and practice. Just make sure that you know these 8 models. Okay. Out of this 8, I think we have covered pestle. We covered yesterday Porter 5 forces. On day, we also talked about SFA framework. And today we're gonna talk about cultural web. Okay, so Ansoff, Harmon, Mendeley are small simple models which you can easily Google or read the textbook. They are not complicated, and in case if I get time tonight or in tomorrow's webinar, I would definitely try to cover these models. Context of change also, I think, is if I get time, I will do context of change, which I think is a little bit more difficult than Ansoff and Harmon, right? Number 6 point is when you give a recommendation, then mention justification. This is a comment which I picked up from examiner's report of last attempt. So in question number 1A, we were supposed to do an pestle analysis, and then we were supposed to give recommendation on future investment options. So whenever a recommendation is specifically required in a question, so we will give our recommendation, but write few lines in supporting our recommendation, why we are saying what we are saying. Okay. And number 7, again, this is a point where many students they make mistake, and examiner, this really pisses off the examiner. Sometime one requirement asks for 2 things. Okay. In that case, give two separate headings for each requirement. What do I mean by that? Now see the example below. See this. So this is an actual question from your past paper. It was, let's say the number is question 2B. So question 2B was, assess the role and value of non-executive directors on the board of Railco as a public sector company. I repeat, assess the role and value of non-executive directors. Now, guys, do you see one requirement, or are you able to spot two requirements in this one sentence? Very good, Jalal. Very good, Huda. Very good, Sajid. Role and value. Excellent. Perfect. So what will be our drafting style? Although this is one question, it is question number 2B. Let's say the marks is 10 marks. Okay. But the way you will draft your answer is, you will first give a heading, um, role, and then you will write a couple of paragraphs on role, and then after that you will give the heading value, and then you will write couple of paragraphs on value. Okay, that's how you will visually demonstrate to the examiner that you are specifically addressing both the thing. Now look at another example. This one. Draft a memo which discusses the ethical and reputational concerns raised at the meeting. Now, do you see one requirement or two requirement hidden in this one sentence? Yes, very good. Again, draft a memo which discusses the ethical and reputational concerns. So how would you draft? Your broad heading, first heading would be ethical concerns. You will cover 2-3 points under ethical concerns. Then you will give the heading reputational concerns, and then you would cover 2-3 points for reputational concerns. Okay, don't make this mistake of merging and mixing everything together. Ethical should be under ethical, reputational should be under reputational. And last example I want to demonstrate is, prepare briefing notes which assesses the role and benefits of integrated reporting. So again, there will be two broad headings: role of integrated reporting, few lines or couple of paragraph on role. After that, you will give a broad heading called benefits of integrated reporting, and then you will cover those points, right? Very, very important from a presentation point of view. Um, so here we end today's presentation aspects. Okay, let me quickly go through the question. Sir, do we need to put the headings in each and every question? Just Sushma, broad headings. Okay, you don't need to give headings for each and every paragraph, but broad headings like role of integrated reporting, and then you can give several paragraphs, and then you say benefits of integrated reporting, and then you give paragraphs. Okay. For how long are videos available for Vimeo? I have no idea. I think they would be there at least till the exam. They should be there. Yeah. Uh, Godfrey is asking, what do you mean by recommendation and justification? It simply means that whatever you are recommending, supposing there are two options, option A and option B, and you analyze both the options and you are now recommending option A. So if you say that, in my view, option A is more appropriate, then you also have to write few lines explaining why you think option A is more appropriate. That is called justification. Whatever option you are suggesting, you need to explain to the board why you are suggesting what you are suggesting, right? Muniba is saying, but we only recommend when asked absolutely right. So whenever a question specifically asks you to give a recommendation, then only you give a recommendation. Then you make sure that you also explain your recommendation. Okay. Akansha, I will answer this question tomorrow. Shaza, yes, you first we will have to analyze both option, and then in the end we will answer the compare the options, and then we will give a recommendation. Does the justification should be from exhibit? Yeah, of course. All right, so again, a recap of how to present your answer. The most important thing is that it has to be linked with the exhibits. It has to be paragraph style. Each paragraph should just be 5 lines. Try to leave one line between each paragraph. Do not use bullet style. Look for stress words, and whenever a requirement has two components, then try to break it under the separate headings. Okay, right. So now today's topic is integrated reporting. It is a relatively a new topic, and it was not there in P1 or P3, or it was there but very limited scope. But in SBL, this has been covered in a lot more detail. And then after that, I have deliberately selected the topic of culture because I feel it's a complicated model, and I will explain to you the model, and then we will do an actual question just to see how we handle a question on culture. And then we will talk about project management and project initiation document, right? So today I've just kept 3 topics, and all these three are complicated topics. Okay, so do I have your attention? Okay. Integrated reporting and 6 capital. First of all, can you guys, we are finance students, we are accountants, so we always deal with financial statements, right? We are gurus, we are experts in preparing financial statements, we are experts in analyzing financial information, right? But then there are certain limitations of financial statements. Do you know that? There are certain limitations of financial statements. Can you guys think of at least two limitations of financial statements? Ahmed is saying it is historical. Perfect. Ali is also saying it historical. So the biggest limitation of a financial statement is it is historical, and then it only contains financial information. Very good, Ahmed. Past events, yes. Lack of non-financial information. Very good. They are backward looking. Very good, Harish. So I'm just quickly going through your comments. Financial, backward, accounts, does not take qualitative aspects, does not include environmental aspects, no narratives, no social impact. It's only for shareholders, short-term results. I am impressed. You guys need to pass this paper. You guys deserve to pass this paper. You guys are intelligent. And I'm not joking, okay? Right. So we know all these are limitations of financial statements. Now put yourself as an investor. Put yourself in the shoes of an investor. Now you have limited funds to invest, and you have got uh, 3 companies to choose from. How would you decide which company will you invest in? Obviously, right now we just have access to their financial statements, right? So based on financials, we will look at their financials and we will decide which company to go for, the one which has the highest return and other factors, right? But my friend, all this is historical. Okay, as an investor, I am more interested in futuristic projections. Fine, historic performance is important. It tells me about the company, but historic performance is no guarantee about the future. I am more interested in finding out what the future strategies are, how the business is looking for next 2 to 5 years, correct? And all these are missing from the audited financial statements. So integrated reporting, let's understand now. So the first thing is differences between financial statement and a integrated report. So we covered most of it. Financial statement, it focuses on financial information, whereas a integrated report focuses on overall business performance. Financial statement focuses on historic performance, whereas integrated report focuses on future strategies. A financial statement focuses on share capital, retained earnings, reserves, okay? Whereas integrated report, it focuses on six capitals. Wow. In a financial statement, there is less emphasis on social and environmental aspects, whereas in an integrated report, it focuses on social and environmental aspects of the organization as well. Financial statement is more short term, more annual, more quarterly, whereas integrated reports takes a long term view. Okay, so now I hope you have got a fair bit of idea what is an integrated report. Eh, it is more futuristic. It is more towards qualitative aspects of the business, more strategies, more environmental and social and environmental aspects. Okay, so now what is the role of integrated reporting, or we can say what is the definition of integrated reporting? An integrated report is a concise communication demonstrating the link between four things. It shows the link between one, governance, which talks about the mission. Then it shows our strategies. Based on that, it talks about financial performance, and then it talks about social and environmental aspects. You see the sequence. On the top is mission or governance. Then based on your mission, then comes your strategies. And then after strategies, we implement a strategy that should result in financials. And then our business activity results in social and environmental. It's a very logical sequence, and exactly the integrated report is a concise communication demonstrating the link between governance and strategy, financial performance, and social and environmental context, and shows how organization creates value in short term, medium term, and long term, which means that it is more futuristic, how we create value, how we increase the shareholders wealth in future, in short term, medium term, and long term. Okay, so I think you guys will need to remember this. It is kind of a definition of integrated report, and it can also be covered as a role. What does it does? What does a integrated report do? It communicates the following, it communicates with all the stakeholders, and it shows to them the link between these four things, and it shows how we create value in short, medium, and long term. So try and memorize if you are not able to digest this concept. Okay. um, Contents of an integrated report. Are you able to guess the contents? It will first start with an organization's overview. Then it will talk about the external environment. Okay. By external, there will be a pestle analysis, a Porter 5 force analysis. There will be SWOT analysis. Then it will talk about future strategies. And in the last, it will cover the six capitals. Okay. No, I think the slide is not stuck, and I'm pretty sure I can see the slides. It's moving. Anybody else facing audio and slide stuck issues? Is it working okay? Yes. All right. Thanks. So the first thing, this one page covers the role and the contents. All right. This is a little bit dry, so you might need to memorize certain bits of it. Now the six capital. So a financial statement has share capital only, but integrated report has six capitals. So we as accountants, I'm a hardcore accountant, so when I heard six capitals, I wasn't able to believe my ears. We just know about share capital, but there are six capitals which integrated reports talks about. So the first one is financial capital. Of course, all organizations, um, they must have financial capital. What do we mean by financial capital? It means the overall financial performance of the organization, the financial health of the organization, the balance sheets, the P&L, the cash flows, the reserves, and sources for funds for future strategies like the gearing ratios. Can we raise funds for future? All these, the standard, the typical things which we are used to do, that's all covered under financial capital. Okay, it's probably the easiest. The second capital is called manufactured capital. Now, what does manufactured capital means? It talks about tangible assets of the organization. Tangible assets. And when we talk about tangible assets, it includes two things. It includes the non-current assets of the organization, such as plant and machinery, IT infrastructure. It also includes current assets of the organization, such as inventories. Both of them, non-current as well as current assets, are part of manufactured capital. Okay. Intellectual capital. The third capital is intellectual capital. So you see, the manufactured capital talks about tangible assets, and intellectual capital talks about intangible assets. Okay. Now, what are the examples of intangible assets? Research, R&D, our brand, patents, our technical and skilled people. All these are intellectual property of the organization. The fourth capital is human capital, and you can guess from the name, human capital talks about our employees. Human capital, HR, our knowledge, skills, and experience of employees, their productivity, their efficiency, the staff turnover, their training number of days, all aspects relating to our employee performance is part of human capital. Social capital talks about relationship and trusts built with key stakeholders. Do you remember the social footprint we talked about in on day 2, social footprint? I made you memorize three things under social footprint. Whenever we see the word social, social footprint, social capital, we need to talk about three things: employees, customers, suppliers, society, governments, right? So employee was covered under human capital. So social capital here talks about customers, suppliers, communities, governments, okay? And the last one is natural capital, which is the environmental aspects, the ecological aspects like carbon, CO2 emission, recycling, pollution, scarce resources. So, you see, so now what are the six capitals of an organization? Financial capital, manufactured capital, intellectual capital, human capital, social capital, and natural capital. So the idea is that integrated report says that organization does not only need finance to run the business. An organization, they need these six type of capital. Finance is one of the capital required. Organization also needs tangible assets, they need intangible assets, they need human resources or employees, they need social aspects like customers and suppliers, and they need to cover natural capital aspects like ecological impacts. Okay, interesting. So now the big thing, why integrated reporting? What are the advantages of integrated reporting? Why some organizations are now adopting integrated reporting? There must be some benefits, right? Main thing, the first thing, integrated reporting is a voluntary disclosure. That's very important. So what is the meaning of a voluntary disclosure? Can anybody guess? Voluntary disclosure. So the opposite of, yes, Ahmed, there are two kind of disclosure requirements. One is mandatory disclosures or regulatory disclosures, and the other one is voluntary disclosure. Mandatory disclosure is that the organization has to disclose those information by law. That's it. They don't have a choice. They like it or they don't like it, they have to disclose that information to the public. However, a voluntary disclosure is discretionary. Okay, no compulsion there. So since it's a voluntary disclosure, it enhances organization's image and reputation for transparency. Do you agree? So integrated reporting is not yet mandated. Okay, it might be another 5-10 years till it becomes mature and it might become mandatory, but as of now it's a voluntary disclosure. So whoever organization discloses the information using integrated reports, it enhances their reputation for transparency. And then it says effective communication with stakeholders. So you see, a financial statement is more focused towards shareholders. Okay, but integrated report is more holistic. It also focuses on social and environmental aspects of the organization. So it is a good communication document with all stakeholders. It integrates social and environmental aspects. Okay, it covers all these things. It focuses on six capitals rather than one capital. It shows how we create value. Better understanding, so better understanding and decision making by shareholders, stakeholders, and potential investors. Obviously, if these guys have better information, it will help them take good decisions, and because of that it may attract investment at a lower cost of capital due to availability of better information. And in the last, it might give comp edge over other companies. So a lot of benefits of integrated reporting, You might have to remember at least four of them. So the biggest one would be, since it's a voluntary disclosure, it enhances the reputation of the organization. It is a very effective communication tool with all the key stakeholders. It focuses on social and environmental aspects as well. It covers the six capital, and it shows how organization creates value in the short, medium, and long term. Right, but then there are certain disadvantages. Too much commercial information or strategy is disclosed. Do you agree? Absolutely, yes. Now, who's gonna disclose their core strategies, their future strategies? The competitors will really jump on us if we tell them all our plans and secrets for the future. So, this is one of the reasons why integrated reporting is not mandatory, and generally, it is not used by commercial organizations as of now. Because of this reason, integrated reporting is more used by social organizations, non-profit organizations, not-for-profit organizations, government entities, government departments, all these kind of things who do not compete or do not exist for commercial purposes. They adopt integrated reporting. You would be surprised that ACCA has adopted integrated reporting for last several years. And would you be interested in taking a quick look at ACCA's integrated report? Let me uh, quickly Google ACCA integrated report 2019. Can you see this? You see this ACCA integrated report 2019. So ACCA has been issuing this for last 4 or 5 years, I believe. Because it is not a commercial organization, it's a non-profit, no, not for profit organization. Why is it blank? It's an internet issue. Okay, so it's trying to contents about ACCA, about this, highlights, message, value creation models, strategic report, global context, stakeholders, engagement, strategy, strategic performance, risks, governance, and leadership. Wow, I'm so glad. I swear this was unplanned. Okay, it just occurred to me to show you ACC, and I'm so glad that whatever I taught you guys, I'm able to. ACC is our mission. And about this report, I want to go to the executive summary highlights. Look at the highlights. Successful launch of our new strategic professional exam. 79.1% maintain high level of member and student satisfaction. 91.5% employer satisfaction. Now, who covers all this in a financial statement? No one. Okay, but because this is an integrated report, it integrates all aspects of the business, it integrates all the stakeholders, it focuses on social and environmental, hence all this interesting information. Now, who's the smart guy? Presidents. All right, so enough. Good, good. Let me, so maybe um you can download this report and look at it at your own time. Right, guys, so we are done with integrated report. Do I have any questions? Did you enjoy this boring topic? Okay, So sorry, the disadvantage. Okay, sure. The disadvantage is it's too much commercial information strategy is disclosed, and the second disadvantage was, I think I missed it. Valuation of six capitals is subjective in nature. Do you understand that? Valuation of six capitals is subjective. Now, how would you value the amount of intellectual capital, or how would you value the, how would you put a monetary value to your social capital? Okay, so it is subjective. All right, sir, please show the disadvantage. In which situation we can use, IR? From an exam point of view, there will be a direct question on IR. If there's no direct question, then you will not use IR in your exam. Would skilled labor be part of intellectual or human? Skilled labor is part of intellectual, and by skilled labor, people who are scientists, people who are using their brain, people who can, if they join our competitors, can, carry our secrets with them. That kind of people are part of intellectual capital. Other than that, all the employees are part of human capital. Is the organization systems in intellectual capital? I don't know what you mean by organization system. um all right, so are you ready for a question on integrated reporting? So now we will be doing SBL specimen paper 1 DCS, question number 1A, part 2. So this is specimen paper 1 DCS. Okay, I don't think we have read this. Okay, 1A1 was about Porter 5 forces, and 1A2. Okay, so let's adopt the usual style. We will first read the introduction. You are Hui Louis, a management consultant leading a small team which has been commissioned to prepare a consultancy report for the Data Communication Services DCS company directors to help them plan for the next 3 years. What's our role? In fact, our name is also given. You like the name? And what are we supposed to do? We have been a team which has been commissioned to prepare a consultancy report for the board of DCS to help them plan for the next 3 years. DCS company has two product areas. Okay. The largest area is the manufacture of data communication components, which it sells mainly to original equipment manufacturers. The other smaller and less developed area is based on supply and support contracts for specialist IT management network systems, mainly to domestic medium-sized enterprises. So they've got two products. You are a qualified accountant and your colleagues are Danny Lehman, a company researcher, and Freddie Lithium, who is a part qualified finance professional. You and your team have collected and analyzed the following information about the DCS company to help you prepare the consultancy report. Okay, so let me do my referencing. Do you remember the referencing? There was this role, and there were product one, is called data communication component, and this one is information about product 2. That's it. Product 1 and product 2. Let's look at the list of exhibits. Exhibit 1, a report on DCS company's organizational overview, the external environment, and the business model, sourced and prepared by Danny Lehman, your colleague. I think this exhibit will contain a lot of information. It might be a multiple exhibit. What do you think? By multiple exhibit, I mean that it will contain information which we will use for several questions. It's not a one-to-one exhibit. I'm guessing from the name. Do you agree? Okay. Need focus, Huda. Yes, I get your point. We need to focus on this exhibit. Yeah. Exhibit 2, a transcript from interview which was held between you and Java Priya, the CEO of DCS company. Again, any interview with the CEO might be interesting. Could be a multiple exhibit. Exhibit 3, summary of financial and business performance of DCS company extracted from the integrated report presented to you by the finance director. So this is a one-to-one. As I said in my earlier thing, all the financial information is a one-to-one exhibit. Okay. Exhibit 4. So let me is a summary of financial and business performance from the integrated report. Exhibit 4 is the October board report. Our recent board meeting notes, which include strategic choices facing DCS company, presented to you by the marketing manager. October board report. Okay. Any board minutes usually contains multiple information. Exhibit 5, an evaluation of alternative future strategies being considered by DCS company, prepared and presented to you by your colleague Freddie. And 6 minutes from the focus group meeting you held with middle management. Okay. Following your findings, you are now starting to prepare the consultancy report and associated tasks for DCS company. Question 1. From the information you have collated, draft a section of the consultancy report for the directors of DCS company to include the following. A. An analysis of the industry and market which DCS company is competing in using an appropriate model. So can you guys tell me which model we can use to analyze industry environment? Ali Merchant is saying Pastel and Porter 5. Ahmad is saying Pastel and Porter 5. My God, incorrect, incorrect. Why are you saying pastel? Shaza, no. Whoever is saying pastel is wrong. Industry environment, for industry environment, we only use Porter 5 forces. Okay, remember, for macro environment it is pastel, for micro it is Porter 5 forces. Again, for country environment it's pastel, for industry environment it's Porter 5 forces. Okay, Porter diamond I would not use because Porter diamond talks about country as well as industry. I would stick with Porter 5 forces. Very good. 15 marks. So 3 marks each. There are 5 forces. We were supposed to do this question yesterday, but we ran out of time. Part 2, an evaluation of the overall performance of DCS company between 2012 and 2015 from an integrated reporting perspective. So this is why we are doing this question now, that we need to evaluate the performance of this company from integrated reporting perspective. Six capitals, absolutely. Professional skills available for evaluation skills, which means how do we uh, grab marks on evaluation? We talk about both. It has to be balanced, pros and cons. Okay, so shouldn't be a problem. So which exhibit was this one? It talked about integrated report. Okay, so I wanted to read exhibit 1, background report of DCS, external environment, business model, but it's pretty lengthy and most of the information pertains to Porter 5 forces. But just read the organizational overview, just one paragraph to just get an idea. Data Communication Systems, DCS, a publicly listed company on the Small Companies Capitalization Small Cap Index of National Stock Exchange, used to be a privately owned high-tech company established in 1997 by computer engineer Jay Priya. Due to a rapid expansion over the following years, DCS needed to source additional capital to fund its growth, to fund its future growth, and was floated on the National Stock Exchange in 2006. This allowed Java to realize his majority shareholding in the private company. 30% of the flotation was purchased by institutional investors, and DCS also borrowed long-term funds to leverage the newly issued share capital. Very interesting. Before flotation, the company was almost exclusively financed from the founders' share capital, retained earnings, and short-term finance. Okay, so let's do our referencing. What are the information here? It is a listed company. Um, and then this one is important. Long-term borrowing. Okay. And 30% institutional investor. Right. Mm, let's read few lines from here as well. DCS is headquartered in Pryden, a prosperous, developed nation with stable, well-established political system and highly developed labor laws, including national minimum wage and newly introduced obligatory pension scheme. The government, like many governments worldwide, invested heavily in national telecommunication infrastructure, which led to significant growth in social media, where virtually 75% of the population are connected to the internet through a range of devices. Very interesting. The government is also proposing a new carbon tax, which will affect companies which manufacture and provide IT network services such as data communication components and systems. So we will be affected. The electronics and IT industry has recently been identified as a sector with an increasing carbon footprint caused by their applications such as component cooling devices, complex telecommunication network components, and cloud computing technology. Although DCS company can approximately estimate its total carbon footprint from the manufacture and supply of components, it has not yet developed formal systems and processes to manage its carbon footprint throughout the value chain. Okay, so let's make our referencing. Prosperous developed nation. stable political situation, high labor law, government investing in telecom. Okay, 75% population internet. Wow. New carbon tax and no formal systems. No system for carbon footprint. Okay, good. So a lot of information I can see from this. So now let's business model. They have two product. I know this is more specific information. Let's go to exhibit 3. Extracts of integrated reporting data from the finance director Tosh Mondal. Okay, and how do we do that? Just a minute, guys. Give me 1 second. Okay, so financial performance, all figures in dollar millions. Okay, got it. 2015, 2012 to 2015. It's going from right to left. Financial periods and then sales revenue. Sales is increasing. Yeah, it's increasing, but now it's decreased. Cost of sales, gross profit. What's happening to gross profit? Oh my God, it's going down. So 2015 doesn't look good. Overheads, profit before tax and finance. So um, let me this is gone up. This I would compare this with this last year with this year. Okay, it's gone up, and gross profit has gone down. So you see this? The revenues have gone up as from 2012 to 2015. The revenues have gone up, but the gross profit has gone down. Wow, that means their GP margin is deteriorating mainly due to cost of sales. Okay, overhead expenses, it's gone down. Okay, profit before tax, it's slightly improved. Finance costs, look at this, significantly gone up. Tax expense gone down, maybe because of profit going down. Profit for the year has significantly gone down. So which one are the important one? Revenue we need to talk about, gross profit we need to talk about, finance cost we need to talk about, and profit for the year. So we will not talk about each and every line. Okay, always we will talk about sales revenue, then we will talk about gross profit margin, finance cost, and then in the end bottom line like profit for the year. Okay, so Najla is asking why you are comparing 2012 with 2015. Very good question. In your exam, you will not have the time to compare year on year on year on year. Okay. So when you are given, normally you are given 2 years data, like current last year and last to last year. In that case, we calculate ratios the usual way we do. But when you are given 4 years data or 6 years data, then in under exam conditions using manual calculators, we cannot calculate each year. So a shortcut or not a shortcut, uh, a good technique to get a big picture is you compare the first year with the last year. So in this case, the first year is 2012. That means the first year of the data, and the last year. So it will give you a longer term perspective of what's happening over the last 4 years. Okay. You okay, Najla, with that? Okay. Other data. So this was the financial data. Other data. So my question here, sorry, financial data. Where will we cover financial data under 6 capital? So you remember your 6 capital? Financial capital. Hamza, I just answered this question for Najla. Okay. So all this will go under financial capital. What about gearing? It's not mentioned here somewhere. And then other data. Number of employees. What's happening with that? This one has gone down. Staff turnover, 4%, and it's increased gradually, and now it is 10%. It has gone up. Is it good or bad? If staff turnover increases, is it good or bad? Yes. So our number of employees are falling and our staff turnover is increasing. Where will this information go? Employees and staff turnover. Which capital? Human capital. Very good. These two is human capital. Number of orders delivered late. Again, this has gone up. Number of orders delivered late. I don't know. This is customers. Will this affect our customers? Number of orders delivered late. It might affect our customers. So customers goes under which capital? Customers and suppliers, not manufactured. Okay, you can cover that under manufactured indirectly. But I think social, it depends how you draft your answer. Forward contract order book. Our number of orders are declining. So our future orders was 3505. It's now 2500. It has gone down. Forward contract order. Again, contract order, forward contract order is to do with customers. I will try and fit it under social capital. Customer complaints as a percentage of total orders and its contracts. 1.5, now it's 3.4. It's kind of doubled. Social capital. Okay. Employee satisfaction survey, 72%. Now it is 61%. It has gone down. It's bad. Employee satisfaction is human capital. Investment in non-current manufacturing equipment as a percentage of sales revenue, 10% to now it's gone down to 7%. Which capital is this? It is manufacturing capital. And R&D expenditure as a percentage of sales revenue, this has gone down as well. This one is intellectual capital. Carbon emission in kg per $1,000 sales revenue. It was carbon emission per kg was 60. Now it's 80. It has gone up. Is this good or bad? It's bad because carbon emission is supposed to go down, not supposed to go up. So this is natural capital. Okay. Natural capital is the right word which is used by this integrated reporting. Natural capital. Oh my God, it's done. So it was pretty easy. One-to-one exhibit, financial capital. Were we able to identify all the 6 capital? Financial capital, human capital, social, manufacturing, intellectual, natural. Oh, yes. Now, how do you draft it? So, if you will, let's look at the requirement. Requirement, where is the requirement? An evaluation of the overall performance of DCS company between 2012 and 2015 from an integrated reporting perspective. Evaluation of the overall performance. What's the format here? Draft a section of the consultancy report. So we don't have to give a full report. We are now drafting a section of the consultancy report. So let's think of something. What do we say here? What would be the subject? Two, it will be finance director. From, it will be Hon Louis. Because we are not doing a proper report, I can skip it, but let's put the subject, because we are just drafting one section of the report. The subject is evaluation of the overall performance of DCS. We are an external consultant, right? Evaluation of the overall performance of DCS 2012 to 2015 from integrated reporting perspective. Okay, that's our opening sentence. Now, the first heading would be financial capital. So, the first paragraph would be that always try and start with sales revenue. No introduction. Alina, I mentioned the introduction. I just drafted in front of you the opening paragraph. Okay. Sir, if you are asked to draft section, then we do not need to draft full format. Yes, correct. So we will say the sales revenue has increased um, okay, guys. So what do you think about this very simple three-line sentence? The sales revenue has increased from dash to dash. I am skipping the years in between. I'm trying to save time. This shows a growth of X percentage over last 3 years. Umesh is saying 46%. Okay. So 46% over last 3 years. I think it's a good growth. Okay, but that's enough. Now the second paragraph is where the story begins. Gross profit. But in gross profit, we will talk about in gross profit, instead of numbers, we will talk about gross profit margins. Okay, or maybe I would like to draft something a bit different here. Let me think. So the sales is increasing. Look at this. although revenue has increased, the what's the exact wording there? Gross profit. Okay. The gross profit has reduced from dollar dash 2012 to dollar dash 2015. Okay. Now we calculate the gross profit margins, and if I think the gross profit margin of 20, the GP, or can I say, okay, I just cut it out. The okay, so this you will need to calculate. And why do you think, what is the most common reason for GP margins to fall? Yasin gave a very good point. He says, can we say that the cost of sales have risen due to the minimum wage levels and new introduced contribution obligation? Yes, it is possible. And also, we did not read the exhibit one fully. It was mentioned somewhere that the cost of raw materials are increasing globally. So, but you're right. So, the most root cause of deteriorating GP margin is that cost of sales are not in line with the revenue movements. So we can just say this is due to increase, or can I say more than proportionate increase in the cost of sales, and then you can give one reason if you can find from the case. Okay. So do you understand the approach? I'm not going to draft the entire question for you. My job is to explain to you how you can keep it simple and be stick to the point, save time and score more marks. So for financial capital, the first opening sentence would be about a comment about sales revenue, because sales revenue is the bloodline for any company. After that, you will move to gross profit margin. After that, you will talk about finance cost, which has increased from 0.14 million to 0.69 million. This shows that the company is taking a lot of loans. And I read somewhere um, on the introduction that there was high loan. Where did I read this? uh, Here, long term borrowing, you see this point. So if you can write this when you are explaining that the finance cost has drastically gone up, so you need to also mention the reason. So one option is you just give a general common sense reason that this is due to increase in long term loans. But if you can link with specifically with the case, and if you can mention specifically that this is because DACS also borrowed long term funds to leverage the newly issued share capital, examiner will become your fan. he will know that you are properly linking with the exhibits. Okay, so now do you see the difference? If I was just referencing, and now you immediately I went up, I searched for that particular sentence, and I repeated that sentence in my answer to demonstrate that I'm linking my answer with this exhibit. Okay, nice. And uh, and then in the end we will say, because of all this, the profit for the year is significantly reduced. Done with financial capital. Then we will talk about human capital. uh, our employees, our revenues are going up, but our number of employees is going down. Okay, so and our staff turnover has gone up, probably because it's now more workload on the people. There are more revenues and less people. That is why staff turnover might have gone up. Our numbers of orders are delivered late. Oh, but that's social capital. But we can give this reason in social capital. Customer complaints have gone up, all because of our human capital, right? So now I'm going to teach you a specific word. For example, I'll just draft it for you. Under integrated reporting, there is a certain wordings which we use. I'll just show you to you. The next heading is, oh, okay. I can also show that wording to you under financial capital. Do you think the financial performance of the company has improved or deteriorated? Do you think the financial performance or financial situation of the company has improved or deteriorated? Very good. So, in that case, our concluding remark would be, overall, the financial capital of DCS, let's write the name of the, has depleted. That's the word, depleted. Okay, integrated reporting, this is, it uses this specific word called depleted. Okay, so if the capital has, if that particular capital is reducing or adversely performing, then we will say that that capital is depleting. All right, right. So again, can we say what's happening to human capital? It is depleting, because our number of people have gone down and our staff turnover has increased. So overall, the human capital is not performing well. It is depleting. And you see also there's one more here, that employee satisfaction survey is also deteriorated. So overall, the human capital is also depleting. What about social capital? There are 3 points. You cover all these things. Orders are getting late. Forward contract order book is reducing, and customer complaints have doubled. This shows that our social capital has depleted. Under manufacturing capital is also, our investment is reducing, so our manufacturing capital is depleting. Our research expenditure as a percentage has reduced by 50%. This shows that our intellectual capital is depleting, and our natural capital is also depleting. Do you understand how you analyze the financial and non-financial information under six capitals, and what is the way you draft, and more importantly, is it depleting or not? What if favorable effect? What word can we use? Very good. So if the capital is deteriorating, we use the word depleting. And if the capital is improving, we can say that capital is increasing or enhancing or increasing. But if it is reducing, then you say depleting. Okay. There is no specific word for improvement, but there is a specific word for deterioration, which is depleting. So I like this question of Ahmad Yusuf. Sir, why were only working on six capital? There are also other contents of integrated report. So he's asking, why are we just talking about six capital? There are other contents of integrated report. My friend, please read the requirement very carefully. The requirement does not ask us to draw a integrated report. The requirement is very specific. It is saying overall performance of DCS from an integrated reporting perspective. And the data, the exhibit is very restricted. The exhibit talks about the six capitals. Okay, so that is why I am just focusing on six capitals. If the if they wanted us to focus on the full integrated report, excuse me, I beg your pardon, then with the requirement would have been like analyze the integrated report of the company, or analyze or prepare the integrated report of the company, right? Right, so we are done with integrated report. There is another question on integrated report which I would give you as homework. This is December 2018, highlight hotels, question number 2B. Okay, let me quickly read the requirement. Question number 2B. You remember highlight hotel we did yesterday? I'm just curious, what is 2B? So in highlight, what happened was we were trying to acquire Comfy Hotel, and then there was this negative article in the media, and we kind of responded to it, right? And now, although highlight shareholders have generally responded favorably to the proposed um, acquisition of Comfy Hotel, Highlights Board is considering how it should effectively communicate with all of its key stakeholders to ensure that they understand the strategic decisions and directions of the business. The finance director has recently asked the board to consider the use of integrated reporting in assisting in this communication and in building relationship with highlights key stakeholders. Okay. B. The finance director has asked you to provide her with briefing notes which she will use to assist her in discussions with highlights board members, which assesses the role and benefits of integrated reporting in assisting effective communication and in building relationship with highlights key stakeholders. So you see, um, a very straightforward question, 12 marks, and then 3 professional marks are for evaluation skills. So in this case, we need to talk about the role of integrated report, and then need to talk about the benefits of integrated report. The role of integrated report is basically it is a concise communication which shows the link between the mission of the organization, the strategies, the financial performance, and the social and environmental impacts. And it also shows how the organization plans to create value in the short, medium, and long term. And then we need to move to the benefits of integrated reporting. Since it's a voluntary disclosure, it would enhance highlights reputation for transparency. It will be a good communication document with all the key stakeholders. It will inform the key stakeholders what we are thinking of. It will help us build strong relationships. It will talk about the six capitals opposed to one capital. It will talk about our strategies for future. Da 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 da. All this, but in the context of highlight. You'll just use the word highlight and a little bit of here and there, comfy hotel, the land, the article, and you are done. Okay, so here we end our this thing on integrated reporting. Our next topic is culture. I want to give you guys 10 minutes break so that when you come back you are equipped with energy to handle the second most difficult topic for today, which is culture. So there is a break time now. I will see you guys in 10 minutes. It is 9:26. I will start at 9:36 p.m. sharp. All right, guys. See you in a bit. All right. Are you guys back from your break? I was just going through some of the comments, and Laiba, she mentioned a very interesting comment. She said that we will also talk about disadvantages of IR as there is evaluation skills. So in the last question, in which the we were supposed to discuss the role and benefits of IR, but the professional skills marks was for evaluation skills. So I agree with Laiba. Thanks for flagging this, Laiba, that because the evaluation skills, we need to talk about both pros and cons. Even though the question required us to talk about benefits, so of course we will focus on benefits, but just to score professional skills mark, I would just very briefly mention one disadvantage. I could have gone for two, but even one would be sufficient. Or if you have time, then you can talk about both disadvantages. Okay, right. So I felt that integrated reporting was a bit dry topic and you might not be able to understand it yourself. You might go on a wrong tangent. So I thought I will help you and do it in the live class. Now let's talk about uh, analyze the culture. Very, very tricky topic. Okay. So what is the meaning of culture? Culture is the means the way we do things here. Okay, the norms, the values, the traditions, the do's and don'ts, the rules. Okay, the way we do things here. That's the local culture. Okay, everybody, your the environment at your home is different from the environment in my home, right? And the environment is in my home is different from the environment in my neighbor's home. So everybody has their own environment. And why is that? Why do you think the environment in your home is different from the environment in my home? Who decides the environment in your home? Father, the breadwinner. Can I say the head of the family is the person. So, um, so the head of the family or the head of your family decides the env- environment at your home. Similarly, the head of my family decides the environment at my home. So it all depends on the likes, the dislikes, the values, the belief, the styles, the habit of the head of the family. Whatever he or she likes and whatever are he, hers, or his values, those would be then, implemented across the house. Correct? Similarly, each organization have their own working environment, they have their own working style. Okay, and uh, you know the style, the environment, or the organization's culture will be decided by who? Can you guess now? So who decides the culture of an organization? The CEO, the top, the leadership, who at the board, all of you are right, the boss. So whoever is the senior person, the head or the leader, whatever is that person's values, attitude, style, beliefs, habits, that would be trickled down and reflected down across the organization. That's called organizational culture. Right. So now, as an outsider, supposing I want to analyze the culture prevailing in a particular organization. How can I analyze the culture of an organization? I can use a model called Cultural Web Model by JS and W. Okay, so the Cultural Web Model is a model which helps us to analyze the culture prevailing in an organization. All right, and I think there are 6 items. So if you see this diagram, power structure, that's the first thing we look at. Then we look at organizational structure, then control systems, then rituals and routines, stories and symbols. This is as per this model. Okay, and in the center it is called paradigm, but paradigm simply means it's another word for culture. Okay, so there are 6 things which we look at whenever we want to study the culture prevailing in a particular organization. So now, power structure, the first one. Under power structure, we study the leader of the organization. Very, very important. And as I just explained, why do we need to study the leader of the organization? Because he is the person who is deriving the culture. As we just said, the top person, the boss, the CEO, whatever his beliefs, his habits, beliefs, attitude, approach. So if I want to study the overall culture of an organization, a good starting point is to study the leader of that organization. What is his style? What is his attitude, his values, his belief? All those will give me a fair idea of how the overall culture would look like. Correct? After power structure, the second thing we look at is organizational structure. In this, we study the organizational structure or organogram or hierarchy or organization chart. Okay, maybe in the question, uh, the organizational chart or hierarchy could be given to you. So that means that you need to analyze that chart under the heading of organizational structure. Is the chart tall or flat? Alternatively, you can also look at the composition of the board. Is it a family owned company, or are there NEDs on the board? Is it a listed company? So the composition of the board can also give you a good idea. So if it's a family owned company, then there will be all the family members will be on the board. So it will be the culture would be very dominated by the family guys. Okay, but if there are NEDs on the board, if it's a listed company, 50% of the directors are NEDs, non-executive directors, then I would expect the culture to be more balanced. Okay, so an organization culture, we look at the structure or the composition of the board of directors. So Abdul Manan is asking a very interesting question. Why is the paradigm crossed? Can anybody guess why I have crossed the paradigm? In fact, I have not crossed the paradigm. I've actually crossed the entire diagram. Okay, and in no models. Correct. I mean, in culture, you may need to use a model, but no need to learn this. No, you need to learn this. But in the exam, in your answer, no need to draw this diagram. No need to draw the diagram. That's why I have cut these things. Okay. I've just shown you the diagram because I just wanted to impress you guys. No, I just showed you because it might be easier for you to visualize the diagram. But the reason I've crossed it out is you are not supposed to draw this diagram. Okay, we will just use the headings of power structure, organizational structure, Control systems. When we talk about control systems, it says, what do we look at? We see whether the organization is cost focused or quality focused. Okay. Is the organization cost focused or quality focused? So you look for words like budgets and qualities and overheads, right? Rituals and routines, in which we look at the daily routine in the organization. And what do I mean by daily routines? These are the keywords: office timings, punctuality, strictness, late sitting. Hang on, guys. I think my pen is not working properly. Can I quickly change my pen? I think the battery dried out. Give me 1 minute, please. I'm struggling to open the box. All right. So under ritual and routines, um, we look at office timings, the punctuality, the strictness, the late sitting, long hours, leaves. By rituals and routines, you mean the daily practices and habits of that organization. And then we look at stories. What do you mean by stories? We look at the previous history of the organization. Okay. We look at heroes and villains. What is the meaning of heroes and villains? So the leader, he must have some ideal person in mind. He must be having trying to copy someone, and he must be hating someone. Okay. Likes and dislikes. Okay. So our leader, whoever is his ideal, whoever he likes, will be called hero. And whoever our leader dislikes or hate is called villain. Okay. Very simple. So in the case, the information might be given that your leader kind of, he's obsessed with Hitler or obsessed with Angelina Jolie or whoever. That's hero. And he hates the tax guys. He hates the pressure groups. So those are villains. Okay. And lastly, we talk about symbols. Right. Symbols, physical appearance of the organization. Oops, I'm sorry, guys. Physical appearance of the organization, like staff titles and perks and expensive cars and lavish office and club membership. All these physical elements which shows power is part of symbol. Okay. Right. So if I try to summarize, under power, we look at, let me change the color of the pen. I'm bored. We look at the leader in the organizational structure. What are the keywords we look at? We look at the structure, organizational structure or hierarchy, or we look at the board of directors composition. Control systems, we look at whether it is cost focused or quality focused. Ritual and routines, we look at the daily activities, the daily routines of that place, like timings and punctualities, late sitting, long hours. That's a thing which examiner commonly use. Stories, we look at the past trend, what's happening in the past, And now where we are heading, and we look at heroes and villains if the information is provided, and in symbols we look at titles and perks and cars and lavish expensive cars, lavish office, all those things which shows power. Okay, right, that's it. So as long as you know what to look for, we will be able to handle a case on culture. And please do not draw this diagram in your answer. We will just use the model without using the diagram. Okay, what's next? Aha, there's question number 7. Topic is culture. SBL specimen paper 3. Nehbi ko question number 3C. Let me open that. So this is SBL specimen number 3. Let me quickly take a look. There's an introduction, some graph, some picture, some requirement. Article 1, Exhibit 1 is article published in Caputo report paper. And there's Exhibit 2, transcript of interview. Right. So, as usual, we will start with the introduction. Nabi Company. Nabi is a family business which owns and operates 8 restaurants in Caputo, the capital city of the country of Sealand. Okay. Caputo is located in the south of the country. So what are the key message from here? 8 restaurants, family owned, 8 restaurant, Caputo. Nabi has been in business for last 35 years. During that time, the company has created some of Caputo's most iconic and best loved restaurants. Wow. So they have most iconic and best loved restaurants of Caputo. The theme of their success is renovating and restoring historic buildings, transforming each one into a beautiful and original restaurant. Mm, best loved. The original founder, Graham Nabi, is also the chief executive officer of the business. He's the original founder. It's a family business, remember? Graham Nabi is the CEO. Graham has a strong personality, and his views have tended to dominate the direction of the business to date. Graham's 3 sons have all joined the family business and together with Graham form the board of Nabi. What are the key messages from this? Strong personality, dominate the board. This is about the CEO, okay? And 3 sons have joined the family, okay? Figure 1 below shows the current reporting structure and ownership of the business. So Chief Executive Officer is Graham Nabi, shareholding is 40%. He is the CEO and the founding member as well, right? And then finance and IT is John Nabi, shareholding 20%. Okay. Restaurant operations, Peter Nabi, shareholding 20%. Okay. And HR and marketing is looked after by Andrew Nabi, shareholding 20%. Is that 100%? Yeah. And the restaurant managers report to Peter Nabi, because he's the restaurant's operations director. Any problem? The case requirements are included in the task shown below. Question number 3C. An analysis of the current culture of NABI and an assessment of how the culture may need to change to align with the strategic aims of venture capitalists and external shareholders. So for the time being, just focus from here to here, okay? Ignore the second bit. So right now, we will focus on this bit only from here to here, okay? An analysis of the current culture. I will demonstrate to you how we can analyze the current culture by using cultural web model. After we understand that, then I would just explain to you the second bit of this question. Professional marks is for demonstrating analysis. Analysis means picking facts and figures from the case, investigative approach, trying to find the root cause of what's happening, why is happening, all those things, the reasons behind the numbers, all those things. So exhibit 1. Now we know that we have to analyze the culture. And what are the 6 things? It is power structure, in which we talk about the leader of the organization, then organizational structure, in which we talk about the organogram or the composition of the board. Then we talk about um control systems, in which we look for words like cost focus or quality focused. And ritual and routines, we look for words like late sittings and long hours and whatever are the usual traditions in that place. And the stories, we look at the past and how organization is now moving in the future, or if heroes and villains are mentioned, we would talk about that. And symbols, we look at expensive cars and lavish offices and big bonuses and titles and all those things, which denotes power. Okay, so let's read exhibit 1. It's an article published in Caputo newspaper. Another prestigious award for NABI. Elite restaurant business continues to move forward. Okay, now if you see, I've I certain the first 2 paragraphs are light gray, and then there is a dark gray portions. So I have deliberately done a light gray because these are paragraphs which are not needed for a cultural analysis. So just to save time, I just reduce the visibility of those paragraphs. So let us directly read those paragraphs which contains information. Okay. So it's an article which says another prestigious award for NABI company. Is that good or bad? Yeah. Elite restaurant. Just a minute, guys. I need to fix my pen. The restaurants provide wonderful menus serving only best quality food cooked to perfection. The NABI company's restaurants have always provided a perfect balance of service ambience and quality of food without an overemphasis on one or the other. So what this paragraph is talking about, that we are highly focused on quality. Okay. This has been achieved by careful attention to details and an absolute hands-on approach, and a board member often being present in the restaurant. Oops, sorry guys. They also seem to have an intuitive sense of what restaurant goers want from the experience and the ability to attract and command intense loyalty from senior staff in an industry known for high staff turnover. They have a talent for bringing together strong teams who run exceptionally busy outlets with complete regularity and precision. So, what's the key message? Hands on. They are very hands on. A director is present in restaurant most of the time, supervising the activities. Wow. Okay. And something about loyal staff. Okay. That's the three thing. What else? Over the years, they have collected plenty of awards, featuring in lists such as top 50 restaurants in Caputo. Their many awards are deserved acknowledgement of their role at the forefront of Caputo's rise to becoming one of the culinary capitals of the world. So again, awards, which means quality. Okay. Exhibit 2. Transcript of the interviews which were held between you and each member of NEHBI board. Okay. um if I remember, our role is of an external consultant in this particular question. Okay. So now we are taking interview of each member of the NEBI board. You have asked each member of the board to express their thoughts on company's performance to date and the future direction of the business. Below is the transcript of their views. So Graham Neby is the CEO. I am very clear about our future direction. We should continue to build on our strengths and core competencies by expanding our restaurant portfolio in Caputo. One of our clear aim is to maintain growth in our core markets by retaining the values associated with our current restaurants. If we continue to deliver excellent service and our unique, innovative fine dining atmosphere, we will continue to differentiate ourselves effectively from the competition and deliver more of the success we have achieved to date. There are certain information in this paragraph, but not relating to culture. So I'm just skipping that. We have been successful in attracting and commanding intense loyalty from our restaurant staff. We know that the restaurant industry is renowned for long working hours, and often kitchen staff will work longer hours than they are actually paid for. Despite this, our staff turnover is relatively low in an industry known for high staff turnover. So, what's the key message here from culture point of view? Long hours. Now, I know that to expand the business, we will need cash injection, and if we undertake the hotel project, it is likely to come from a venture capitalist. I fear that will mean substantial changes to the input the board will have in future strategic direction. I understand that external investors can bring benefits, and I know there are weaknesses that we need to address, not least our reactive planning approach, which has meant that on occasions we have missed potential opportunities which we should have exploited. Okay. Nothing directly linked with culture. Um, just that, there's a possibility that a venture capitalist might come. There might be external investors in future. Our reactive approach means we can change the strategy as we see fit. This approach is unlikely to be sustainable once the business has external ownership. We can currently take a longer term view and have the freedom to act in our own best interest, which may involve taking decisions that are not wholly intended to maximize profit. Now, something important. I can see that my expensive company car will not be seen as an essential by potential external investor. I believe the cars we drive are a part of the status and reward for a job well done. Okay, that's it. So now the requirement is analyze the current culture of Debbie. So can you imagine, it's a family owned business, 8 restaurants in Caputo. All the restaurants are best love. Who is the CEO? He is the original founder, Graham Nebby. Okay, and he has been doing business since last 35 years, and he's got a strong personality, and his views have tended to dominate the direction of the business. Where can I use this information? This is a description about the leader. So who's the leader? The leader is the CEO and the founding member, Graham Nebby, who also happened to have the highest share, which is 40%. So under power structure, we will talk about Mr. Nebby's personality. So this paragraph, um, this information, this one will go under power structure. Okay. So this tells us that our leader is old guy. He's a dad, 35 years into the business. He actually was the founding member, so I'm pretty sure he's very passionate about the business. He's got a strong personality, and he tries to dominate the board. Of course, the board is his sons, so he will but naturally try to dominate the board. Okay, that's power structure. Organizational structure. So do you see the composition of the board? It's all family owned. There is no NED, correct? So we will say that currently the organizational structure is not given in the case, but the composition of the board has been given. So we will say that under organizational structure, we will say that currently the board comprises of 4 directors, and the CEO is Graham Nebby, who's the founder member, and the rest of the directors are his 3 sons, and there are no non-executive directors, as this is a family owned business. That's it. Okay, that's done with organizational structure. You look at the composition of the board, you look at family owned versus NED. Then you look at control systems. In the control systems, we need to say whether the company is cost focused or are they quality focused. So we read a lot of stuff. You see, best loved restaurants, and they got a lot of awards. Quality awards. So definitely, a control systems, we will say that the company is quality focused, and we repeat couple of facts from the case to prove our point. Excellent. Ritual and routines. Are there late sittings happening in the company? Did you see the word late sitting somewhere? Late sitting. Yeah, long hours. So there are long working hours, especially office kitchen staff will need to work longer hours. I also saw that the directors They adopt a hands-on approach, and a board member often be present in the restaurants. That's a ritual or a routine which is done in that company. So all these are rituals and routines: long hours, hands-on, director being present at the restaurant. Okay. Stories stories is generally very difficult to find. So do you know any information about heroes and villains? The leader is Graham. Who is his ideal? Don't know. Who he hates? Don't know. So past trend. So previously, I think the company was formed by Graham 35 years ago, and then now his three sons have joined the business. Correct. So we can use this as story, that in the past the Graham established this business, and now uh, Graham's three sons have all joined the family business, and together they form the board of NABI. That's story. That's where the business is progressing from past to future. And lastly, symbols. Symbol means expensive cars, luxury offices, titles, club membership. So I read somewhere about expensive cars. Yeah, this one. That's symbol. That's it. Okay, so we analyze the culture of prevailing in Nehbi company by using cultural web model. We talked about power structure, in which we describe Mr. Graham. We talked about organizational structure, in which we describe the board of directors composition. Then we talked about control systems, in which we describe it is a quality focused business. And then rituals and routines, we talked about long hours and directors present at the restaurants. And stories, we said that now the sons are part of the board of directors. And symbols shows, and we talked about that all the directors, they drive expensive cars, and it is showing their power and status. Okay, now the purpose of this question was just to show how cultural web model is applied. Okay. The second part I don't plan to do, because we have not done this topic, but just to give you an idea that when we read the case further, they decided to have a venture capitalist. That means that there will be external shareholders, right? So now the question is, how and assess how the culture may need to change in case there are external shareholders. So can you guess how the prevailing culture might change? You think the power structure will change? Yes, the power structure will change in the sense that now our CEO might not have 40% shares, his shareholding might reduce, he might not be able to dominate the board. You think the organizational structure might change? Of course, the composition of the board will change. There will be more directors, most likely non executive directors, which the shareholders will appoint. And you think the control systems will change? I don't think so. They might continue to focus on quality, and rituals and routines might not change because the long hours will always remain the same. Stories might change because now there are more people, general public, becoming the owners of the company. And symbols will change. Definitely expensive cars and lavish things. The external shareholders would not really like that. Exactly, Ahmed. Right. So now you get an idea about culture. I want to move on to our last topic, which is project. Very, very important. So let me now close this one and move to project. So project also has been tested several times in your paper. Okay. Furkan is saying venture capitalists might become a villain. Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. Right. So project management. So the first of all, do you know what is a project? what is the definition of a project? A project is a one-off special activity other than our usual day-to-day operations. Okay, I repeat, a project is a special one-off activity which is other than or different from our usual day-to-day operations. Project involves, big money. So why do we in business, why do we talk about projects? Why is project important for any business? So for example, supposing nowadays there is a lot of trend of online business, right? E-commerce, online, that's growing, that's the next future, right? So my company is now decided as a strategy that we will now also do offer online products. Previously we were not offering online products, but now my institute or my company has decided as a business strategy to offer online sales and products as well. Correct? That's a business strategy. But in order to offer online products to my customers, I first need to set up some basic stuff, right? I need to create a website. I need to upgrade my systems. I need to integrate the website and all those online technology with my transaction systems. And then after all these things, I would be able to initiate my online business strategy. So all these one-time costs, one-time setups are projects. Okay, so why is project important? A project is important for a business simply because without projects you may not be able to initiate certain business strategies. For some business strategies to be executed, we may need some projects in the start. And of course, project involves time, project involves big money, big investments, and the future of our business or future business strategy depends on how successful that project is handled. So bottom line is project or project management is a very, very important aspect for any business, right? Now, look at this triangle. Okay, all projects, they have three legs. How much legs? Projects have three legs. Yeah, humans have two legs, animals have four legs, but project has three legs. It's, I don't know why. It's kind of a hybrid between human and animal, I guess. So what are the three legs or aspects of a project? Number one, it's quality, and then time, and then cost. Okay, so quality means that the project deliverables, the technical design. The time means the duration of the project, how much time it will take, and the cost means the cost involved in the project. All these three are kind of dependent on each other, and it is difficult to strike a balance, but these are called project measures. So if the board, they want to track the progress of any project, they will look at three aspects. They will look how the technical aspects are progressing, they will look at the cost aspect, how is it progressing, and they will look at time or duration aspects of how the project is progressing. Okay, so project measures. Now, project management steps, very, very important. My first question to you guys, Do we need to manage a project, or will it just run on its own? Yes, of course. We have to manage the project, and not just manage, we have to manage it very, very nicely, because a lot of things are at stake. Big money, business strategies, reputation, market share, competitive edge, everything is dependent on that, on the success of that project. Remember the online project, I just gave an example. So there are certain project management steps. These steps are mandatory in if you want to make sure that the project is successful. So what are those steps? Step number 1: formal project initiation document duly approved by the board. PID, project initiation document. So the first step of any project is that a formal project initiation document is prepared. Okay. And then that project initiation document is submitted to the board. The board carefully reads that document, and they will ask some difficult questions about the project. And once the board is satisfied or convinced about the project, objectives and the benefits, they will approve the project initiation document. Okay. All project activities will start after the PID has been approved. The PID is the basic document, and a good starting point for any project management is that a proper PID should be prepared and approved by the board of directors. Now we will talk about the contents of PID in few minutes. The, the second step is, once the PID is approved, the second step is, then we go into detailed planning. Of course, at the first stage, we did not go into detailed planning. A PID just talks about the basic stuff of the project. Okay. We do not want to spend a lot of time on the project unless the board approves that project. So once the board is approved, now the second stage is we go into detailed planning for each task. Technical designs, we break the task project into steps: technical design, architectural design, software designs, all the technical sides. After detailed planning, the third stage is implementation. Okay, so whatever the project plan, we start to execute the project plan. That is called implementation. And then while the project is now being executed, we need regular progress monitoring. The board should regularly monitor the progress of the project. Supposing it's a project of 12 months. Okay, it takes time to develop a website and integrate it with our systems. So our target deadline is 12 months. So ideal situation, the board should receive monthly progress reports, or in some cases quarterly progress reports. So monitoring the progress of the project is very, very important. Otherwise the progress, if nobody is monitoring the progress, the project might lag behind, and the quality might be low. And then once the project is done, we do some testings, and then we hand over the project to the users, and the project is go live. Now the project is finished and the activity is go live and it's started, right? So very, very common sense general steps. Step number 1 is, first we make a project initiation document duly approved by the board. Then we do detailed planning, then we implement or execute, then we also simultaneously monitor the progress, and then once the project is completed, we do some testings, and then we put the project live in, like it's handover, it's go live now. What are the reviews conducted after the project is completed? Okay, there are two basic reviews. One is called post-project review, and the other one is called post-implementation review. In terms of importance, the second one, post-implementation review, is a very, very important review. The first one, post-project review, is a smaller activity. It is done only once, post-project review, and it focuses on how the project was managed. So it focuses on the project management steps. Okay, whatever steps we just studied right now, under post project review, we just look at whether we followed all the project management steps and frameworks. Okay, it's done just once, and the objective of post project review is lessons learned, what mistakes we did, so that in future projects we are better equipped. Okay, but the more critical review is the second one, post implementation review. In this, we see whether the project objectives have been achieved or not. I repeat, in a post-implementation review, we see whether the project objectives have been achieved or not. So, all projects are done with a certain objective or benefit in mind. Do you agree? I repeat, all projects are done with a certain objective or future benefit in mind. If there is no benefit from future, if there is no future benefit from that project, nobody is going to spend money and time and effort doing a project. So each and every project should have a definite business objective or a business advantage. For example, if I say that we are now going for online sales, what's the purpose? More revenue, correct? More market share, more profitability. So that's the objective. So we spent money on the project in anticipation of future benefit, which is more revenue. So how do we analyze whether the project was successful or not? We actually see whether the promised benefits or the forecasted benefits or the objectives which was defined in the start, is it being achieved in reality or not? Can I say in accounting terms, budget versus actuals? Okay, kind of something like that. So post implementation review is the concluding review in which we analyze whether the project achieved the objectives, whether the project was successful or not. Okay, so this is a very concise list of project management steps. Now, what are the contents of a project initiation document? You need to remember these contents. This has been tested twice in the exam, right? So a PID is a initial document. Remember what is PID? It is a very basic initial document which is prepared by the management, and it covers some basic information about the project, and then the PID is submitted to the board of directors to enable them to review and then either approve the project or reject the project, correct? So now, guys, imagine that you are a director, okay, and the management wants to undertake a project involving $2 million, and they have come to for the approval of the board. To the board, they want the board to approve $2 million so that they can undertake the project. You are a director, and they submitted to you a PID. What kind of information do you expect to see in a PID? You are a director. You are supposed to approve or reject a project investment of $2 million. What are the basic information you should expect in a PID? Can you think of 3 items? Midat saying for how long these lecture? Okay. So what are the 3 things you would expect to see in a PID if you are a director? Huda says cost and benefit. Absolutely right. As a director, I need to know the financials. How much is the cost of the project and how much would be the benefit which I would earn in later years. Objective and scope. Very good. The financial projection, duration, very nice. Time and cost, objective, time constraints. All right, I'm just reading your answers. Duration, risks, Hamza, very good. Risks, Laiba, I'm very impressed with Hamza and Laiba. Usage of resources, very good, Umes. You guys are good. You guys may turn out to be good directors. Estimates, assumptions, very good. I think you now are on the right track. All right, so let's go through the list. A nicely done PID will first have a background or an introduction, right? And then project scope and objective. I'm just highlighting the most important things. Project scope and objective has to be very clear and quantified. Clear and preferably quantified. Why do you think the objective needs to be smart, clear, and quantified? Why do you think the objective should be quantified? It will convince the board. Very good. For later use entire life comparison, for appraisal, for measures. Remember the post implementation review, which is done after the project is finished, in which we see whether the actuals benefits are achieved or not. In order to do that appraisal, thus objective should be clear and quantified. Okay, and then after that cost benefit analysis will be there. Obviously, nobody mentioned key stakeholders. So in a project initiation document, all the key stakeholders who will be affected by the project should be mentioned. So I have given a comprehensive list of possible stakeholders. This may vary from case to case, but generally, if you remember this list, you will be safe. For example, there has a project sponsor should be clearly defined. Now, what is the meaning of sponsor? Sponsor basically means a senior person of the company, a director level person. Okay? A director who is actually responsible for this project. Okay, so all projects should and must have a sponsor. Sponsor means that a person who is ultimately responsible for the success or the failure of that project. For example, if it is a marketing project, then the marketing director should ideally be the sponsor of the project. He should be the one who will be presenting the PID in front of the board. He should be the one who will be convincing the board, and then he should be the one who will be held accountable for the performance. So a project sponsor is very important. Project manager has to be there. A project team should be defined. The important thing about project team is that the project team should always be a full-time team. A part-time team will just ruin the project. Okay, and then the users or the concerned departments. For example, if it's an accounting software, then finance department is the concerned department. Then customers, now we're talking about external people, suppliers, governments might be affected, society, community might be affected. Huda mentioned board. Yeah, the board can also be a stakeholder for certain projects. Okay, very good. Key stakeholders. The main thing is all the key stakeholders directly or indirectly getting affected by the project should be mentioned in the PID. No stakeholder should be missed. And then project duration. Oops, sorry. And then we talk about any risks. Okay. Whenever we talk about risk, you can talk about three types of risks. You can talk about quality risks, which means the quality risk means that there's a risk that the quality of the product or the project might be substandard, or the timeline risk, duration risk, which means that the project might get delayed and overrun the deadline, or the cost risk, which means that the cost of the project might exceed the budgeted approved amount. So these are the three most common risks involved in a project. Then we talk about constraints, and in constraints we talk about human resource, financial resource, IT. Okay, and then any major assumptions. So you see, in a project we make financial projections as well. We do NPVs and IRRs. You see the cost benefit. And so there must be, when we are making future projections, most of the time we take some assumptions, so those assumptions should be mentioned. And lastly, project monitoring and reporting procedures, that how the project will be governed, how the progress will be monitored, all those administrative side. So there's lots of things which PID covers, but not in detail, but it really focuses on objectives, cost and benefits, key stakeholders, durations, risks, constraints, major assumptions, and monitoring and reporting procedures. Right. Guys, are you able to read the questions of other students? Because Maz is really impressed with Huda. So are you able to read questions of other students? No. So how, Maz, then how do you know Huda is asking good questions? Okay, so you guys are not able to read the questions. That means that I should the good questions, I should read the questions first and then answer so that you can. Oh, okay, from me. All right. Okay. So now, did you understand what a PID is? Okay. Sushma is asking, can you please explain the assumption? By assumption, you know, mm, whatever assumptions we have made in our financial projections, like what is the revenue growth, how much market share will increase, what will be the price of our products, whatever assumptions we have taken in order to make the PID, all those assumptions should be mentioned in the PID, so that the board can review the assumptions as well. Okay, excellent. So contents of PID, you done with that? So it's all, we now have 30 minutes, almost like 20 minutes of standard time, and I'm allowed to overrun by 10 minutes. So in total we have 30 minutes, and I have two questions for PID. One is a simple question and one is a difficult question. Which one do you want to go for? I have one simple question and one difficult question. Which one you want to go for? Oh my God, all of you are saying difficult question. Toyin is saying both. Hi Toyin, good to see you there. Uh, Only one is saying simple. Alina is saying simple. All right. I think I would try to squeeze in both in 30 minutes. So if I speed up a bit, um, we can spend more time on the difficult one. There's one question from Iftikhar. He's saying, who is responsible for the project, manager or sponsor? What do you think? Who is responsible for the project, the manager or the sponsor? Clearly, sponsor. The ultimate responsibility of a project lies with the project sponsor. He is the dad. He is the daddy of the project. Okay. The project manager reports to project sponsor. So if anything gets screwed up, ultimately the sponsor is responsible. Okay, not the project manager, but the sponsor. Yes, Sajid, I like your answer. He says on ground it is the manager, but ultimately the sponsor. Perfect, perfect. Let's hit the question, guys. Let's uh, let's do the difficult one. I want to spend time on that. So the difficult one is basically this one. September 2018, question number 2. Okay. September 2018. Let me quickly search for the paper. September 2018, question number 2. This one. So Toyin is asking, what's the difference between a sponsor and a manager? Sponsor is a senior level person, preferably a director level person, who is the sponsor, like who's the dad. Okay, he is the person who is trying to get the project done in the company. A project manager is a, kind of a technical person who is just the captain of the team. He reports to the sponsor. Okay, the project manager handles the day-to-day projects, but all the decisions and accountability lies with the sponsor. Sponsor would be the person who provide additional finance other than shareholder. No, Aisha, that's a misconception. Aisha is saying sponsor would be the person who provide additional finance from other than the shareholder. No, Aisha, that's a misconception. Sponsor is not the sponsor in terms of who's sponsoring the team. Sponsor means the person who's ultimately accountable or responsible. Okay, all the projects are sponsored by the company, whether through loan or equity or shareholders. Okay, but who in the company? So normally it's the concerned or the relevant director who takes ownership, the business ownership of a project. All right, now let's do September 2018. Cofold construction. Introduction, list of exhibits. Question number 2, 18 marks. Oh my God, this is big. And then exhibit 1, and then exhibit 4. Okay, let's start, guys. Introduction. Cofold Construction is a listed construction company. Okay, its head office is in the capital city L of the country of Omegland. Okay. Omegland has two neighboring countries, Alfia and Beetle. The countryside in Alfia and Omegland is generally flat. In Beetle, there are large mountains which separates its eastern region from the rest of the country. I don't know what kind of bullshit information is this. All three countries use the same currency. Okay, so what's the important thing? It's listed. Three countries That's it. The board of CC comprises of 50% executive directors and 50% independent non-executive director. Bingo. Very good. 50% non-executive directors. The senior board members are Chairman Imena, Chief Executive Burton, and Senior NED Alex. Okay. Maybe I would like to use their names wherever possible if I'm drafting a report or something. CC's core business is to provide support services such as upgrade of electricity networks and road renewals and maintenance in all three countries. Okay, that's their core business. However, it has also undertaken road construction projects of increasing size and complexity. Initially, CC carried out most of its major construction projects in Omegaland, its biggest project there being a ring road around the city of L. CC has also started to develop a portfolio in Alfia, the biggest development there being a road between Fee City and Town, which has completed in 2010. Okay. So what's the core business? Road construction and support. Okay. And major projects in Omega Land and Alfia. To date, CC has not carried out any road construction projects in Beetle. However, an opportunity has arisen for CC to tender for construction of a major road in Beetle, which would be the biggest project which CC has undertaken to date. No Beetle so far, and it could be a biggest project in if we get the tender in Beetle. So what's the introduction about? That we are a listed company, we work in three countries, our board 50% is NED, which is very good. Our core business is road construction and support services. To date, we have not done any road construction in Beetle, and there is an opportunity, and if we get that tender, that would be our biggest project so far. The following exhibits provide the information. Extract from the most recent annual report. I think this would be one to many. Annual report generally consists of a lot of information. Press release on the announcement of new road in Beetle sounds like one to one, very specific. Forecast revenues and costs one to one. Outline contents of a project initiation document and a summary of operational issues section of the PID. I repeat, Exhibit 4 is contents of a project initiation document and a summary of the operational issues section of a PID. Exhibit 5 is a transcript of emergency meeting SCC, and Exhibit 6 is a report of an interview of da 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 da. So for this particular question, I believe this exhibit is important. Right, so the case requirement question number 2. CC has been awarded the contract to build the road in Beetle. Congratulations, all of you. So now our company has been awarded the contract to build the road in Beetle. And if I remember correctly, it's the biggest project which CC has undertaken to date. Wow, that's good news. It is now January 2022 and planning for the project has started. You are Joe Isa, the project manager for the construction of the road in Beetle. Wow, look at our role. We are the project manager of the largest construction project ever done by our company. Joe Isa, nice name. You have just been appointed project manager. Uh-huh. As the original project manager left CC suddenly 1 month ago. Oh, okay. Got it. Oliver Vizonga, the junior member of the project team, began to draft the project initiation document during the time when no one was acting as project manager. You understand that? So there's a junior guy on my project team who has drafted the project initiation document. He has prepared for your review the outline contents of the project initiation document and a summary of the section in it on the operational issues affecting the project. So he has prepared for our review. Required. Prepare a memo addressed to Oliver. Who's Oliver? Oh, the he's a junior member in my team. Okay, right. Which critically evaluates. Just a minute. Which critically evaluates the contents and the summary of operational issues in the project initiation document, which he has prepared, and recommend improvement. 14 marks. Critically evaluate the missing stuff and recommend. Professional skill marks are available for demonstrating skepticism skills in discussing the shortcomings with the outline contents and the summary of operational issues in the project initiation document and recommending improvements. What is skepticism skill? This is the first time I will talk about it. How many of you know what is skepticism skill and how to score good marks? Chris saying probe. Probe means questioning. Probe, challenge, questioning mind. Challenge, questioning mind, questioning mind, questioning mind. All of you are right. I just explained how to score skepticism. Okay. So what's happening so far? That I am the newly appointed project manager. There was no project manager for last 1 month, and my junior team member has prepared a PID for my review. And now, as the new project manager, I'm supposed to review the PID prepared by that junior guy. I'm supposed to identify the shortcomings and then recommend how we can fix those shortcomings in the PID. But the problem here is marks. 18 marks. Now, 18 marks in SBL is supposed to be a very heavy duty questions. So, how many points for 18 marks? If we go by 2 marks, correct? But remember, did I tell you there are some exceptions? No, I think I did not tell you this yesterday that there are some exceptions. Um, Oh, yeah, I did tell you the exceptions. Okay, the exception is that whenever you are asked to identify the weakness and give recommendation as well, then you have to follow 3 marks. Okay, whenever you are supposed to identify the weakness and then also give recommendation, then you follow 3 marks. So this one is wrong. If I follow 3 marks, how much points? Correct? So 6 points, I can go 5 to 6 shortcomings in which I would identify the shortcoming and then talk about how to fix it. Right? This is how you plan your answer. 6. Very good. Exhibit 1 extracts from the most recent annual report of CC. And in this report, it extracts from the risk report section of annual report specific risks So these are the specific risks which the company faces, right? And all this is mentioned in the annual report. So what are the risks which the company faces? Health and safety risks. Okay, I'm not going to read in detail, but health and safety is one of the biggest risks which CC thinks they face, and I agree with them because in a road construction business, one of the main risk is injuries, right? So health and safety of our employees and of the surrounding people, the stakeholders is very important. Tendering is a risk which the company feels. What is tendering risk? Okay, whatever. Project delivery risk, which I think means failure of project to meet time, budget, and quality, represents a fundamental threat. Okay, project delivery risk is a big risk. We always deal with project, and especially in Beetle, this is our largest project. Environmental risk, we'll probably talk about carbon emission, since we are into construction, energy, fuel consumption, natural environment, all these are standard words for environment. Financial risk, failure to maintain liquidity, meet loan repayment covenants, maintain capital structure, all these are financial risk. And business integrity and reputation risk, safeguarding against risk of fraud, bribery, corruption. This thing happens a lot in tendering, that there is kickbacks and corruption. Honesty, false claims, code of conducts, rigorous training. All right, so these are the 6 risks which the company has mentioned in their annual report: health and safety, tendering, project delivery, environment, financial, and business integrity and reputation. All right, let's move on. That's now exhibit 4 is the main thing. Exhibit 4 is outline contents of a project initiation document and a summary of operational issues section of PID. Now this is where I need your attention. So this document has been prepared by Oliver, and Oliver is a junior member of my team, and my task here as a project manager is to identify the shortcomings of the PID. So this is a very interesting question. The examiner has not asked you to prepare a PID. Instead, he has given you a PID and has asked you to identify the issues in it. So this PID has been prepared by a junior person. Now let's look. Contents of a PID. What has he covered? He's covered introduction. Good boy. Then he has covered the background. Good boy. Although I don't understand what's the difference between introduction and background, but that's fine. Then he's talked about the business case. Business case means, why we are doing it, justifications. Then he covered the benefits and the cost. Good boy. Progress payments. So he's talked about how the payments will be made to us. Financial budgeting and funding. Very good. Then he talked about time and cost constraints. Okay, talked about constraint. Very smart. And he talked about risks. And then he talked about project sponsor and project manager. That's it. And the other one is a summary of operational issues. So we'll come to that in a bit. So this guy Oliver has made a PID, and these are the things which he has included. Now I give you 1 minute. Can you identify things which are missing from this list? So things which are additional, which he has included, I have no issues. But things which are missing are shortcomings, right? So I give you 1 minute. Go through the list of contents of PID which I just taught you and see what is missing. Where is that list? Let me open that list here. So I remember background and introduction. Did he cover background and introduction? Yes, I think he covered the background and introduction. And project scope and objective. I did not see this word scope and objective. I can see the word business case, but I would like to see specifically the project scope and objective. This is something which is very crucial, and I want to see a crisp heading exactly saying scope and objective. So this is something which I think is missing. It's not there. Cost and benefit. I think he has done that. Key stakeholders. Key stakeholders. Ooh, can you see key stakeholders anywhere? I can see a project sponsor. I can see project manager. But other than these two, project sponsor is there, project manager is there. But what about the others? What about project team? Don't you think we need a big team in BTEL to do the biggest project? Where will we get the team from? What kind of team we require? I don't know. So project team is one of the major key stakeholder. Customers, suppliers, government. The case says that the project is tendered by the government, and the government has given us the tender. So government is a key stakeholder, and the communities and the villages are a key stakeholder. It's mentioned somewhere in the case, but we did not read those exhibits now. So I think project team is missing. So we will say key stakeholders missing. For example, project team. For example, the government of Beetle. For example, the villagers or society. Also, I think our board of directors, because it is one of the biggest. Right. So what else is missing? Project duration. I don't see it there. Did you see the project duration there? No. So duration is missing. Very, very important. How much time will it take? Risks. I think he mentioned the risks. Quality, time, costs. Quality, time, cost. He mentioned time and cost. He did not mention quality risks. Okay. Risks relating to quality. He mentioned constraints, I believe, somewhere. Constraint is there. And major assumptions and project monitoring and reporting procedures are missing. So, major assumptions and reporting procedures. So, Oliver tried to do a good job. He covered things, but because he's a junior person, I don't have an issue, obviously, but I am a senior person. I can immediately see that these are some important stuff which are shortcomings or missing. If this PID goes to the board of directors, they will immediately throw it back on my face. So we identify these. And now what do you recommend? We should recommend that project scope and objectives should be included, which should be quantifiable. Key stakeholders are missing, and all the key stakeholders should be included specifically in project team, government, villagers, board of directors. The duration should be. You understand the approach? This is what I wanted to show you. Okay. So now on the PID, I identified the shortcomings. Don't forget to give the recommendation here, because the question asked for recommendation. Now, what is the second thing? Summary of operational issues. Now, many students, 90% of the students, they got confused about this thing. So they know PID, project initiation document. They know that. But what the hell is this? Summary of operational issues, cost and time constraints for stages. Now, this is something which has been prepared by Oliver. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, and the cost of each stages, I think. And then there's some diagram. There's a year. And what is this MJJAS? What are these? MJJASON. These are months. Okay, May, June, July, August. So all the years, all the months. This is a chart which shows you in which month or duration of each of the 4 stages. This thing is called Gantt chart. Okay, somebody mentioned Gantt chart. Mohammed Sajid, very good. So this is nothing but a diagram. So no need to sweat. Okay. What I can see is there are 4 stages, and then this guy has demonstrated or displayed the stages in a diagrammatic form. Move on. Then he talked about main risks. So there are some main risks have been mentioned under this document. He talked about health and safety. Fine. He talked about supply chain. Fine. And he talked about environment. Fine. So what's wrong in all this? I think he has missed few risks. And how do I know that? Because I just read company's annual report, and the company has mentioned that overall there are 6 risks which the company faces. Okay, this guy has just mentioned 3 risks. So I would just, if I want to score good marks, I would quickly run through the list of risks mentioned in the annual report and see whether he has missed any risks. So he has talked about health and safety, supply chain, and environment. Whereas if I go through this list, health and safety, yes, he's talked about it. Tendering risk, he hasn't talked about it. But I think we have already won the tender now. So we have won the tender. So on the project initiation document, will always be prepared after the tendering. So probably this is not applicable at a project level. Project delivery is a big risk. We might miss the deadline. We might cross the cost. We might affect the quality. So this risk needs to be mentioned. Okay. Environment he has covered. Financial he has missed. How the project will be financed. Business integrity and reputation he has missed. Okay. So all I would say is that on this section, the operational side, where is it? On this portion, Mr. Oliver, you are good that you covered some risk, but however, you have missed certain risks. For example, financial risk and reputational and integrity risks and project delivery risks. That's it. So we were actually able to generate a lot of points, huh? So much more than 6. So you just pick a few missing points from PID, and then do not get confused over something which doesn't make sense to you. Move on. Simply, I can see a list of risks. I just was smart enough. I just went through the risk in the annual report, and I picked up a couple of risks which were missing. And I just, now, how do you score skepticism, Mark? This one. How do you score skepticism? Adopt a questioning tone in your answer, using words like I disagree, it seems incorrect, it's not clear, should be further investigated. These are some pet words which you should use in your answer when skepticism skill is required. You adopt a negative tone. So you will say, Oliver, although you have done a good job, however, you have not done the following. This is missing. That is missing. This needs further information. All right. So thus by changing the way you draft, you will get marks. You don't have to do anything extra. Just you adopt a negative tone in drafting your answer. You have not done this. This is missing. I disagree with your assessment. Da da da. Okay. Right. So here we end. Um, we have overrun by 12 minutes, so I have been asked by ACCA guys to wrap up. I hope that uh, we just managed to complete this question, right? I hope that you understood a PID and how it comes in the exam. It's not difficult. As long as you remember the list, it is your checklist. Whatever is missing, you just write on it. All right. So, guys, memo and report, no. Memo and report is the same, no. Memo and briefing paper is the same. Memo, briefing paper, briefing note, these are same stuff. Report is something else. Memo is briefing paper. All right. So guys, tomorrow we will focus on corporate governance aspects, NEDs and board committees, a very different angle, and but a important area of SBL. So those of you who are not in my WhatsApp group, please send me a WhatsApp and I will send you the link. My WhatsApp number is here, and then we will stay in touch through WhatsApp. See you guys tomorrow sharp at 8 p.m. Have a good night.